Chapter 7. The Monster. That room is haunted.
That was incredible, Janet. Irvin will never suspect a thing with your amazing acting.
Peter whispered, his voice brimming with excitement as he tightly gripped her arm. However, Janet was feeling anything but confident. She forced a strained smile.
I'm not so sure. I caught Irvin looking at me suspiciously. I don't think he bought into everything we did.
But he did agree to let you stay in his room tonight. You have to take advantage of that.
Peter leaned in closer to Janet and whispered urgently.
Don't let all our hard work go to waste.
Pushing Peter aside, Janet's eyes showed a mix of fear and determination.
And what about that crazy fan? Are you sure he's not going to spill everything?
Peter nodded resolutely.
I'm positive he won't say a word. And even if he does, no one will take him seriously anyway.
Are you absolutely sure?
Janet pressed on.
Absolutely,
Peter reassured her.
He's just an unstable vagrant. No one's going to believe a word he says.
Emily rushed to Peter and Janet. Her eyes widened in fear, and desperation lurked, ready to burst out of her.
Ah, no way!
Peter almost screamed at the top of his lungs. Emily quickly covered Peter's mouth with her hands. Janet's unease grew as Emily revealed that the room Irvin was staying in was rumored to be haunted.
Is it safe for you to stay in that room, Miss Amari?
Emily questioned. Anxious, Janet inquired.
Where did you get this information from?
From the hotel service attendant. She's not supposed to tell anyone, but she's a big fan of yours and wants you to be cautious.
Emily explained.
It's just a rumor. It might not be true,
said Janet. Suddenly, Peter suggested,
How about Irvin sleeps in this room with you?
Janet shook her head decisively, stating,
He won't come. We're already asking too much of him. It has to be settled now or never.
Shocked, Peter gasped.
So you're going to sleep with the ghost?
Taking a deep breath, Janet's eyes grew serious as she responded,
It's just some stupid rumors. I don't believe it. Besides, I have Irvin. He will protect me.
Peter and Emily exchanged widened looks, impressed by Janet's bold idea. While standing on the staircase, the service attendant overheard Janet's conversation. Earlier, she had discreetly placed a tiny hearing device on Emily's clothes. Now, she knew Janet's next move, so she raised her phone to her ear. She slowly pulled down her mask. She was Skylar. Ethan, proceed with the plan, she whispered. Irvin lounged in a luxurious chair in the lobby, absent-mindedly swiping through his phone. All of a sudden, the thought of reaching out to Skylar, who was also in Halasan, crossed his mind. He wanted to know her whereabouts. Just as he mulled over dialing her number, his phone buzzed with an incoming call. It was Peter.
Irvin, it's Peter. You can come up now.
Irvin ended the call. As he prepared to head for the elevators, a man suddenly materialized next to him. The stranger looked unkempt, and his face was fully covered with a face mask and sunglasses.
Hey man, do you have a few coins? I need to make an urgent call, and the payphone's right over there.
The man gestured towards a nearby phone booth. Irvin fished out some coins from his pocket and handed them over.
Here, take these,
Irvin said.
Thank you.
The man acknowledged, but he didn't release Irvin. Instead, he attempted to engage Irvin in conversation. Irvin, slightly annoyed by the man's persistence but still trying to be polite, replied,
I'm sorry, I need to go.
Irvin started to walk to the elevator, but the stranger's grip on his arm tightened.
Wait, sir, what's the rush? You look like a man who knows this place around here. Please, I need your help.
The man said.
Do you need me to escort you to the front desk? They can help you.
Actually, I need some advice from you, as a guest like me.
The man said, chuckling. Irvin didn't want to stay, but the thought of anything that could prevent him from going to the room where Janet was staying made him reconsider.
Maybe just for a few minutes won't kill me,
Irvin thought. Meanwhile, The air hung thick with anticipation and a faint, metallic tang that seemed to cling to the very walls of the building. Janet clutched her bag of clothes. The three of them didn't dare to go in. Room 215 loomed before them, its single window dark and unblinking, like a single eye observing their every move.
What's taking Irvin so long?
Janet asked, her voice tight, her impatience growing. Peter yawned widely.
I called him and he said he'd be right back. I don't know what's holding him up.
He shifted his weight, his weariness manifesting as gnawing impatience.
I'm getting tired now,
he said. Emily echoed his sentiment.
Me too.
Peter glanced at Janet, his gaze lingering on the bag she clutched.
Janet,
He began, his voice softer now.
I guess we're gonna have to leave you. How about you go wait inside?
Janet shook her head, her gaze fixed on the room's ominous silhouette.
You two can't just leave me. Stay with me or wait with me inside.
Peter and Emily exchanged uneasy glances.
Janet, you know we can't stay here all night.
Peter said, his voice laced with annoyance.
Irvin will be back, I'm sure of it. Just wait here. Emily and I are going to sleep now.
No, I don't want to be left alone.
Janet insisted, her voice a stubborn tremor.
Then let's just go to our room above and wait there,
Said Peter.
No, I won't be able to see Irvin when he comes back.
Said Janet as she grabbed Peter's arm.
Please, Peter and Emily, wait with me.
Peter and Emily looked at each other, their faces mirroring their dilemma. They were tired, the air was heavy, and the silence of the building was unnerving. But Janet was adamant, her fear palpable.
All right.
Peter sighed.
We'll stay, but we're going to wait inside. My feet hurt so bad now from standing.
As the three of them cautiously entered the room, their eyes adjusting to the gloom, they saw something that made their hearts skip a beat. It was a faint glow, emanating from the far end of the room, a pale, luminescent light that seemed to dance and flicker in the darkness. And as they approached it, a figure emerged from the shadows, its face shrouded in darkness, its presence both unsettling and utterly creepy.
Irvin?
Janet's voice trembled, hoping it was just him in the shadow. The figure turned towards them, and at that moment, the pale light of the glow illuminated the face and revealed the truth that sent a cold shiver down their spines. It wasn't Irvin. It was something else entirely. Something that had been waiting in the shadows, its eyes glowing with an unnatural light. Long, thick, matted black hair flowed down its back, completely concealing its body, a disturbing cloak of darkness. Janet gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. Peter, his face pale, stumbled back, knocking into Emily. Emily, her eyes wide with fear, clung to Peter, pulling him towards her.
The ghost?
Peter stammered. There was barely any sound in his voice. For a moment, the creature simply stared at them, its eyes holding a disconcerting intelligence. Then, its mouth curled into a chilling, mirthless smile, revealing rows of razor-sharp teeth and blood spilling out. "Get out!" its voice rasped, a chilling echo in the silent room. Or, "You want to join me?" The light started flashing faster and brighter, making their shadows look weird on the walls. Then this creepy creature reached out its long, bony fingers towards them. They were petrified as they realized how scary the situation was. They let out a scream and ran for their lives, their footsteps echoing through the corridors. They were so scared that their hearts felt like they were about to burst out of their chests.
Fantastic service, isn't it?
The stranger declared for the 10th time, beaming at the ornate marble floors and the plush velvet armchairs.
They even brought me a complimentary glass of champagne. I've never seen service like this, ever.
I'm glad you like it.
Irvin mumbled, attempting a polite smile.
I'm just, heading back to my room now.
Oh, don't go just yet.
The stranger chuckled, his voice booming over the hushed conversations around them.
We haven't even talked about the views. They say you can see the whole town from the rooftop.
I'm sure it's lovely,
Irvin said, his voice growing a little desperate.
but I really have to get back. I have business to do early in the morning.
The stranger's enthusiasm remained unabated.
Oh, come on. Just a few more minutes. Let me show you the views from the rooftop. It's breathtaking.
I'm sorry.
Irvin replied firmly.
I have to go.
With a final nod, Irvin turned and walked away, leaving the stranger behind. The stranger locked eyes with Irvin as he vanished into the elevator. With a swift motion, he removed his mask to reveal Ethan's face. Frantically, he dialed Skylar. "What?" Skylar exclaimed, still tidying up her light kit. "I'm not done yet!"
Just finish up quickly and leave. He's on his way up.
Ethan urged, his voice reflecting his shock. "You were supposed to keep him occupied."
I did my best. But if I were in his shoes, I would have lost my patience long ago. He tried to be understanding, okay?
Ethan defended himself. Skylar scoffed as she worked. "Oh, so now you're on his side? You seem to switch sides pretty easily."
I'm not picking sides. Just get out of there as fast as possible.
Ethan urged. "Fine," she huffed, ending the call and grabbing her belongings just as the doorknob began to turn. Irvin opened the door to his room and found an odd atmosphere. The air was filled with the strong scents of makeup and perfume, and bags of cosmetics, designer clothes, and a single high heel were scattered around the floor. The room seemed empty, except for the rustling of fabrics as he walked.
Janet?
Irvin called out, but there was no answer. Just as Irvin was about to call Peter, he heard a soft thud from the balcony. He cautiously approached the open doors and looked outside. He tiptoed towards the fern, his heart pounding against his ribs. He reached for the cloth, expecting to find a forgotten item, perhaps a tie or a sock. Instead, his fingers brushed against something soft and furry. He pulled the cloth back, expecting a cat or a dog, but something let out a strangled gasp. The cloth he was holding was wrapped around its neck. His eyes widened. Before him, perched on the ground like a surreal creature from a forgotten realm, was a being both grotesque and oddly captivating. It was squat and goblin-like, adorned in a white dress that covered its slim body. Its eyes were a piercing white, devoid of any hint of color, and its hair flowed long and black as a silken cascade down its bony shoulders. Dark color smeared under its eyes' sacs, down to its cheeks, like a doppelganger of the ring girl. As Irvin's gaze met the creature, their eyes locked in a silent dance of shock and disbelief. The creature's lips were smeared with a crimson stain, leaving an unmistakable trace of blood? Irvin's mind raced as he struggled to process what he was witnessing. He couldn't even move his body. Why? Was it because he was scared out of his mind right now? The creature shot up and bolted past him, knocking him to the ground. The impact jolted him out of his daze, and he immediately gave chase.
Wait!
He shouted, reaching out to grab its arm.
Who are you? Why are you here? Where's Janet?
Instead of answering, it wrenched free and made a beeline for the door. Without a second thought, he lunged at the enigmatic being, pinning it to the ground. Ow!
Skylar,
Get off me, Irvin! Skylar protested, clearly frustrated.
what are you doing here?
As realization dawned on him, Irvin quickly released her and inquired,
Are you hurt?
"All my bones are broken," Skylar retorted sarcastically.
Who told you to dress like that? Are you trying to scare me?
Skylar huffed, not from being squashed, but from Irvin's mention of Janet. "You must have been worried sick about her." "Well, sorry! I scared her away," she exclaimed, clearly agitated.
Who?
Irvin demanded in confusion. "Who else? Janet!" Skylar blurted out. Irvin shook his head, his jaw tightening.
Enough avoiding the question. Get up, Skylar D. Katz.
He instructed firmly, his voice brooking no argument. He reached down, grabbed her hand, and pulled her up despite her half-hearted protests. He pulled Skylar up and dragged her inside. With a gentle nudge, he guided her to sit on the sofa.
You're not going anywhere until you tell me exactly what is happening. Why are you dressed like that? It's really freaking me out.
He asserted, standing tall in front of her, arms crossed. Skylar rolled her eyes. Freaking you out? I'm the one who's going to need a chiropractor after this. You tackled me like a linebacker.
I thought you were, a monster.
Irvin admitted sheepishly.
And, speaking of Janet, she was in trouble earlier.
He winced at the mention of Janet in front of Skylar and quickly cleared his throat.
So tell me, what is going on?
Skylar slumped onto the sofa, her face a mask of frustration. Look, Irvin, she sighed. You're in no position to make demands right now. Janet is going to be a part of the movie. Why didn't you let me know? I should be the first one to know, especially when she's... Janet. Her voice dropped to a whisper at the end, the weight of unspoken rivalry hanging heavily in the air. Irvin's expression softened slightly.
Skylar, I was trying to keep things professional. It's just business.
Business? Skylar interrupted, her eyes flashing with hurt. You think this is just business for me? It's always been personal, Irvin. Janet is like a shadow that refuses to fade. She knows how to worm her way into every project you're involved in, every moment of our lives. And now, she's going to be part of this movie? Skylar looked sideways at Irvin, her heart softening despite her anger. Or, have you two been contacting each other?
No.
He quickly denied, his voice softening as he dropped his arms. He knelt before her, lowering his tone to a gentler murmur.
I assure you, Sky, it wasn't her. The actress who was supposed to sign the contract with us did not show up. I had no idea how it got changed to her. It just happened.
Skylar looked at Irvin, feeling angry but also trying to understand his words. Just happened? She echoed, raising an eyebrow. You mean to tell me that the biggest part in our project, a part that could be a stepping stone for both of us, landed in her lap just because she happened to stroll in? Skylar crossed her arms, wishing she could dismiss the idea, but the truth was gnawing at her heart. Irvin shifted nervously on his knees, his gaze intense but sincere.
Look, I get it. I really do. Janet has a weird way of appearing right when you least want her. But I didn't seek her out. Everyone wants her in this movie. And with everything at stake, I couldn't argue. The last thing I wanted was for the project to fall apart because of some personal grudge.
Skylar uncrossed her arms, a softness creeping into her posture. Deep down, she knew there was truth to what he said, and yet... You could have told me, she said, her voice quieter now, almost pleading. Instead, I had to find out from someone else and have you tackle me on the balcony like it was some sort of action scene. Do you even get how that feels? Irvin hung his head, the weight of her disappointment visible on his face.
I'm sorry. I honestly didn't want you to find out like this. It just spiraled out of control. If I'd known anything was off, I would have prepared you for it.
Prepared me? She scoffed lightly, shaking her head. There's no preparing for Janet. You know that. His expression shifted as he raised his eyes to meet hers.
How much of this is really about Janet, Sky? What are you so afraid of?
She hesitated, the question echoing in her mind like a persistent drumbeat. The truth was she was afraid of losing Irvin. Again. She couldn't tear her eyes away from the window, the fading light outside mirroring the unease in her voice. It's like she effortlessly takes over, even when she doesn't mean to, she admitted quietly. I feel like I have to fight to stay relevant. It's not just about her acting skills. It's about how easily she fits into your world, she confessed, her voice trailing off. Irvin gently interrupted.
What do you mean, Skylar? What are you thinking?
That you're attracted to her, Skylar admitted, her words catching in her throat. And it scares me. You say it's just business, but I fear it's more than that, she confessed. With her in the picture, it's like the stakes are higher. Irvin chuckled softly, earning a sharp glare from Skylar. What's so funny? She snapped.